Well, President Trump and Elon Musk continue to slash government waste and fraud. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi recently sent a very clear message for those engaged in fraud against our government using your tax dollars. Listen to this.
Thank you, President. As far as we are hearing a lot about fraud, waste, and abuse, a lot of waste and abuse, but there is a tremendous amount of fraud. And Elon, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your team. You have uncovered so much fraud in our government, and we will prosecute you. We have an internal task force now working with every agency sitting here at this table. And if you've committed fraud, we're coming after you.
Yeah, well, here's been Elon Musk's Doge that saved over $100 billion. The estimates seem to vary some, and that was from a couple of weeks ago. So the number keeps growing, which is good news for the American taxpayer. Here with me to discuss this and the efforts of Doge and Attorney General Pam Bondi, Congressman Josh Brecheen of Oklahoma. Congressman, thank you for being here. Look,
thank you.
Waste, fraud, and abuse, for some reason, it makes the Democrats' heads explode if we save the taxpayer money. It's weird to me, but it is a strange reaction, isn't it?
Yeah, it's odd. I did a town hall last night, and it's interesting that anyone could be against making sure that their tax dollars, the finite resource of taxpayer funds, are spent most efficiently. Anyone having an objection to that has to have more than a common sense objection. It has to be partisan in nature.
Yeah. Let's talk about this. We're saving money. We're not cutting spending, but we're reducing the rate of increase in many cases, Josh. That's the way it works. And every time, even if you reduce the rate of increase, those on the left go crazy and accuse Donald Trump of being a dictator and a lot of other crazy things, right? So here's what people are curious about. We got the continuing resolution through, which laid the groundwork, the foundation, if you will, for this big, beautiful reconciliation bill. People want to know, how close is that? What's going to be in it? What kind of changes can they expect? It's a big deal, and it takes a lot of work, as I know. So tell us where we are.
Yeah, so I'm on the House Budget Committee. Great thanks to great Chairman Jody Arrington, who led a good number of us into a great result, a framework that if we fulfill what the framework we were able to get out of our committee and then pass the House, if we're able to fulfill what we brought forward, then we will bring about enough change that we have to have in an environment where our credit rating, two of our three major agencies have downgraded us in the last 10 to 15 years to AA from AAA. And we've got some questions in the bond market right now that people are shopping around, in other countries. There's a lot of debt that's maturing across the globe. And we, as the Budget Committee, are convinced we've got to do something to make sure the full faith and credit of the United States is not questioned, and that we show the American people we're serious about, as the Constitution talks about, preserving the blessing of liberty, not just for ourselves, but also for posterity. And so, a big part of this is going to be clawing back the Inflation Reduction Act, what President Trump called the Green New Scam. I come from an energy state, top 5 producer of natural gas, and we have wind and solar that are displacing natural gas on the electric grid across the country. In the last several years, Energy Information Administration, Steve, says that the majority of the increase, a super majority of the increase that is undergirding our electric grid, electricity production, is coming from wind and solar. And I want everyone just to pause and think that is displacing proportionate natural gas role, and it is moving us to the place where Europe, who started to go green years ago, the same Europe that has now been importing fossil fuels from Russia to the tune of, dollar-wise, more than the dollars they've been contributing to help Ukraine. It is a threat to our sovereignty. It is a threat to our economic prowess, and it is a threat to not have cheap, reliable energy if we go down the pathway of other countries. Let me just say one more thing on this. China is more than happy to let us go green while they continue to send us battery components and solar components, and we are cutting off our nose to spite our face, undermining and unleashing true energy dominance.
And one more thing, China's building more than one coal-fired plant to power every single day. They're not even using them. You probably know this. They're just building them and setting there for future reference. They know what the future is. But you look at the big energy states, Oklahoma, Texas, Wyoming has more coal than anybody, Pennsylvania, Alaska. We have more natural resources, Josh, than any piece of real estate in the world when it comes to energy. We need to use it. And when you look at a windmill or a turbine, if they prefer, that are $5.5 million, have a life of about 10 years, that never return the electricity that it costs to put the thing in the air, that's foolishness. That's a fool's errand. We need to sell LNG to Europe. We need to move coal to our own coal-fired power plants, like Donald Trump just said. Chris Wright and the Secretary of Energy, we need to continue on this path to make America not just energy independent, but dominant. Right. Would you agree?
Yeah, look, I saw somebody today, and I'm trying not to be flippant when I say this. I saw somebody walk into the Capitol building today that had the word energy dominance on their lapel. I said, oh, great. Where are you from? What groups are you representing? We're here to represent solar. They are trying to wordsmith their way to keep their tax credit in place. And I want the American people to understand this. Again, the large components we are importing solar specific from China. China, to your point, is doing everything they can to go the opposite of the direction of making sure that they have reliable and affordable energy. When you look at states, even apart from the subsidization that the IRA, the Green New Scam, as President Trump called it, when you look at the state incentives, look at what the cost doubling in states like California have done when they start adding state incentives per kilowatt hour cost that Californians pay compared to the 12 cents per kilowatt hour in Oklahoma. And so we absolutely have got to return to common sense, liquid gold underneath our feet, 400-year supplies President Trump has talked about. And we've got some special interest groups who want to protect one of the 8 different components in the IRA. And as I'm encouraging my colleagues, if you protect one, what is the standard principle that you have to say to everyone else who wants to protect their deal? Republicans have to be about let the free market reign, not protect the few at the expense of many Americans.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you 2 crazy examples and let you get the last one on this. Ontario, Canada, got rid of all their coal-fired power plants over the last 10 years. Their electric rates have gone up 3 to 5 times, 300 to 500% for the consumers in Ontario, Canada. That's thing one. Thing two, here in my home state of Michigan, the plan was to bulldoze, listen to this is insane, bulldoze state forest land to put in solar panels, hundreds, if not thousands of acres. I'm sorry. This is good for the environment. They've lost their minds, Congressman. There's just no other way to put it. I'll give you the last word.
Look at there's a little island off of the coast of Spain. It's in the Canary Island chain. It's in the trade wind zone. And you look back a decades before, they talked about becoming energy independent. Now, if you're in the trade wind zone, you get a tremendous amount of wind consistency. But yet, in the last couple of years, you look at over 50% of their utilization, even though they started this goal decades ago to be going truly green, they're having to rely on fossil fuels over a majority of their year because it is not continual. It's not affordable. The countries that have gone this have paid a price, and they are sacrificing not only their economic security, but their national security when they become dependent on hostile regimes for their energy needs.
Which, by the way, I would say, Congressman, is absolutely not green. Josh Brecheen, Oklahoma Congressman, greatly appreciate you being here. You come back anytime. Great conversation.
Thanks,
I appreciate you being here today.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, coming up after the break, as we march into spring, there's a lot on the agenda, including DOGE cutting more government waste, ensuring the survival of the Trump tax cuts. More details coming up.